How difficult is it to get your footing and to really to block in those rainy, slippery conditions?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta choose the right cleats. I think probably most guys went with the 7 studs yesterday just to give them a little more grip, be able to sink into the field a little bit. But it's never easy. It gets as the grass and the dirt get more and more soaked with moisture. Um, it starts getting harder and harder to make sure you have good footing. But both sides are dealing with the same thing. They have to slow down as well in their rush, so it's a benefit to us as well. But that's just what you're dealing with.
And then you guys take such pride in your run blocking. Can you talk about what happened on that first and goal from the one down in the first quarter when you couldn't get in?
Yeah, I mean, we started first play, didn't get enough push. We ran a pass down there as well, and they stood up well. They got more penetration than we got movement. We were able to punch it in. That's something we got to improve on.
Thanks, Jeff. Nate Ulrich has our next question.
Hey, JC, good to see you. When it comes to like the big picture outlook for this team, you guys were without an NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidate yesterday, and you win. Where's this team's confidence at right now? And do you allow yourself to start thinking playoffs?
No, I think there's still a lot more time to go before you need to start worrying about that far ahead. I think it was a great job by our defense. I think everybody stepped up again. Like you said, you're losing a really important piece and a really great player, Myles. And everybody had to do more yesterday in order to cover for that. And everybody did. Defense played really well. An impressive game all around by them. So that's great, but there's still a lot of work to be done before you start worrying about what's going to happen after January.
And Coach Stefanski just told us that Myles has been ruled out for the Jacksonville game too. Obviously not what any of you guys want to hear, but do you have confidence that you guys can once again deliver and that, that defense can come through without him because you're just able to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to do the same thing. The guys will go into it with the same mindset as they did last time. We have a lot of talented players on that side of the ball. So, everybody will continue to step up and continue to play well. Every game's different, but I think we all have all the confidence in the world on that side of the ball.
Thank you, Nate. Scott Petrick, to you.
Hey, JC. What adjustments did you guys make in the run game to get things going at the end of the third quarter and then into that fourth quarter?
I don't really think we made many adjustments. I think we just kept working and kept pushing and just kept waiting to bust one. And we get a good look on that long run by Nick. They run a cross dog that we pass off well and open up a big lane for Nick. And that's really all Nick needs is just a little crease, and he can make a good play into a big play. So you just keep kind of banging and keep trying to get something going. And I don't think we changed anything. We didn't put in any new plays that we weren't calling in the first half. We just kept at it.
Kevin Stefanski said, they're trying to tweak some things, personnel or whatever, to get things going. Have you noticed throughout the year that the coaching staff has been good at kind of tweaking things in game, and that's a good sign for coaching staff to make those adjustments?
Yeah, no, we talk about it a lot on the sidelines of kind of what we're seeing and what they're seeing, what we're having success with and what we're not, and then what the defense is presenting, and then what we can do to try to beat that defense that they're putting out there. And we go in with plenty of personnel groups, plenty of plays, so we have kind of a long list of things we can get to, and then it's just about trying to get to the right things based off what they're showing us. So I think I've always been impressed with our coaching staff this year and being able to find those runs that look good after we start getting a feel for what they're trying to do to us.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Jake Tretter, to you.
Hey, JC, what advantage is it to you guys to not just have Nick, but to also have Kareem in terms of wearing down these defenses and those guys also simultaneously having fresher legs in the fourth quarter? It's the second straight game where you guys have really, taken over with the ground game late.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you look at having two top-tier backs in this league that's a benefit in itself. And then again, keeping guys fresh, having that continual fresh legs coming into the game, not being worn down by the end. I think that helps. But again, a lot of it, they can do so many great things with the ball in their hands. We just have to open up a little bit of crease for both of them to go and make a huge play. And even sometimes when we don't, they're going to make us look good.
How fun is it for an offensive line to kind of impose your will late in games like you have these last two?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, it's, we got to run the clock out. We got to do certain things. You just keep going. I don't think it's, I wouldn't even say it's imposing your will. A lot of it's just trying to stick with what we've been working on, all week in practice, keep going and understanding we come in with a good plan, and the other team's going to come in with a good plan too. And then you just have to keep battling and keep trying to find those little plays and little difference makers that we can do to keep the chains moving.
Thank you, Jake. Marla Ridenour, you're up next.
Oh yeah, JC, I just want to ask you one quick thing about Mac Wilson tweeted something, I think it was this morning, about he felt like the culture was changing. Do you feel something along those lines? I mean, you feel like you're finally doing what you set out to do?
Well, I think probably the quickest way to have a winning culture is by winning. So I think that probably helps it. But no, I think from the moment Kevin got here, I think he's done a really great job of shifting this team into the way he wants us to play and the way he wants us to think and the way he wants us to prepare. And that's been evident since the first meeting that we came. We've had the same ideals preached to us day after day of what we need to do to be a successful football team, and we continue to embody those ideals. And that's something credit to Kevin. That's what he's wanted from us, and I think we're doing a good job of doing that. But that has to continue. The work's not done at our current record. We have to keep doing the right things and preparing the right way and playing the right way in order to continue to have that culture shift.
Do you believe in the old adage that he's so even keeled that, players take on the demeanor of their coach?
Probably a little bit, but I think one of the big things I've talked about a few times with what Kevin's done here, I think he's created a family atmosphere, and I think the really good teams go from being coworkers to being family, and I think that makes a big difference on how you play and how you prepare and how you battle on Sundays. And that's something that Kevin made a point from the get-go of having us get to know each other as more than just coworkers, and that's not easy, especially with the year we've had, the off season we had with no really in-person work. But Kevin really worked hard on creating that environment for us. And I just think that's really important in the culture of the team as well, of having guys look at each other as, extensions of their family, that they really care about more than just in the building, about who they are as people and, what makes them tick. I think that really helps as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Next up is Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, JC, you guys went through, a pretty stressful COVID-19 week last week with, a bunch of different guys involved. So my question to you is, how do you think the protocol and the plan worked out, especially when you saw it unfold on your own team? And then also, I don't know if you're willing to share or not, but did you have some personal experience with it? We know you missed a day and we don't know why. That could be kept private, I'm sure, but just curious to know if maybe you were involved personally too in some of this.
Yeah, I think the protocols are working. Again, we're moving to the kind of enhanced protocols league-wide, and we've done a good job of limiting spread within the walls of the building. And that was one of the big things about keeping this season going, is having a really strict contact tracing. Making sure we keep high-risk close contacts out of the building, as they have a higher likelihood of turning positive, and that way the spiral of positive cases gets cut off and not allowed to continue. So I think that side of the protocols are working well. It's tough for guys to have to miss 5 days. I think that just preaches to the importance of staying away from each other and staying without apart from 6 feet and wearing masks and doing all the right things to avoid being placed in that high risk close contact field. But again, as you see, we've said it from the beginning, we're kind of susceptible to what the country and what our local communities are going through. And we're seeing huge spikes in cases around the country, which just increases the likelihood of cases coming in from the outside into the building. And that's what you're seeing as the cases around the country have spiked. So have our cases. Our cases have gone up league-wide. And that's why the protocols are so important about keeping this season going and keeping guys healthy and not allowing that virus to spread once it gets into the building.
And just a quick follow-up, and you don't have to answer obviously specifically about Myles, but there seemed to be at least some kind of a path whereby he could get back in time to play against the Jacksonville game based on the timing of when he first reported symptoms and those kinds of things. But would you say that there are sort of gray areas and things that maybe, go on obviously behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know about that have to follow these protocols to a T, and that's basically what's going on?
Well, yeah, I don't think, the way this is working, I believe the best way to put it is this isn't like having an injury where the Sunday is the goal and you try to fit the pathway to get back by Sunday. There are certain limitations on days and how long you have to be out, because a sprained ankle doesn't impact the rest of the team. A contagious virus does. So there are limitations on how many days you have to be out, what are your symptoms, how you have to come back into the building. So it's not the same thing of, well, how can we try to get them back by Sunday? They're really set timelines. Once you start monitoring each person's individual scenario of, their first positive test, whether they're still symptomatic, all that stuff goes into it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We need to wrap with JC, so we'll take two more, Nate Ulrich and Tom Withers. Nate, go ahead.
JC, Kevin Stefanski said that for a few weeks he's been trying to talk about Thanksgiving, just the idea that this is a time for a gathering of families, and players could be having family members over and things like that for the holiday. How have you guys approached it at the PA, and is it a nervous time or a concern that unfortunately these kind of gatherings could be dangerous to your players?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a concern. Like I talked about earlier, the place the country's in right now with spiking cases around the country, it's tough to you try to look at your family and people you would be bringing in for Thanksgiving as it's tough to look at them not like you expect them to have the virus, but how widespread it is at this point. The more people you bring into your bubble and to your household, the higher risk you take of one of them being sick and passing it on to you. And that's a risk. So, we're continuing to put out information to teams and to individual players about what the best way to do, what type of quarantines are best to ask of your guests to decrease the likelihood that they could spread the virus to you, the best ways to set up your house, the best way to have this meal. It's a tough year. It's a tough year for relationships, for families. It's really tough to go a long time without seeing your loved ones. So we get it. We get the this is the time of year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, that you've always expected to bring your family together and have those holidays, really special holidays. So it's tough, but this is a crazy year, a lot going on, and we just try to provide the best guidance of the best way to keep you safe and keep your family safe if you choose to do that.
And we'll close with Tom Withers.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, JC. Excuse me. You guys have won without Nick. You've won without Odell. You've won without Myles. You've won in the rain and the wind and the cold. Have you been surprised by the resiliency of this team, JC? I mean, it's been such a mentally challenging and physically challenging season in so many ways for you guys.
I wouldn't say surprised. I think every team goes through the loss of players, whether for the year, for short-term pockets of the season that you have to overcome, and you can't allow injuries to impact what you provide on Sundays, and everybody has to provide more when a guy who's really important to how the team runs goes down. That's just how every team works, and I think that's something the good teams are able to continue to play well even when different people aren't able to play, and they have to put somebody else in there, and everybody on that position group needs to step up. That's what good teams do. So I wouldn't say I'm surprised by that. That's our expectation, is that we have to play up to our standard. Whether certain players can't play, that doesn't change our standard, and we have to play up to it.